Hi, everybody. This is Mike with my co host Evan.
What's up, everyone?
And today we're going to be reviewing the 2017 The Mummy movie featuring Tom Cruise, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, we decided to do this. I think it was my idea, but we decided to do it because the new, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Lee Cronin, Lee something,
Yep.
the
Lee
new,
Cronin's The Mummy.
yeah, that's coming out actually the day that this podcast is going live. So we thought it was like kind of a timely one. We've both seen at least the first Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, but neither of us had seen this one. So, and I think we both avoided it for reasons that we'll get into um, the the later bits of this episode. Um, so yeah, that's really the only rationale. I'm going to be honest. It was an excuse to watch a movie that had been on my watch list, but I had been avoiding. So that just brings us to today.
Yeah. Honestly, same here, too. I love the original two Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz Mummy movies. And I actually really like the Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing Mummy movie from the 50s. That was pretty good as well.
I have not seen that one.
This one was not. Yeah, no, it's really good. But this one was not.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we're not even going to try to beat around the bush here.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. This movie, it has a reputation. It was already kind of destined to fail from the get go. If you listen to last week's episode, the Tropic Thunder episode, um, you'll know that our little teaser for this episode was the infamous trailer that was posted without music. Um, Somehow Universal managed to
Yep.
post the trailer back in 2016, 2017, whatever year. And they somehow left out the layer with the music. So it's just ambient noise and Tom Cruise going, oh, oh, like it's
Yeah. Just Tom
it's
Cruise
interesting.
screaming for like 2 minutes. It was a mistake that was like laughably bad. I can't believe they released it.
And like, yeah, I think it was kind of the writing on the wall for like what was gonna happen here. Um, I guess let's just dive into our initial thoughts. I know you're a little bit more fresh on it than I. I watched it like a week ago. You watched it today, so I'll just go over my thoughts and then you can like kind of pile on, like correct me if I'm wrong on anything. But yeah, I actually thought I'm curious what you think about this, but I remember thinking the first like 15 to 30 minutes actually wasn't like that bad. Like I was actually kind of with the movie up until they uncovered the like was it the what would you call it? A
Sarcophagus,
tomb?
yeah.
Sarcophagus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tomb.
Like
Yep.
after the bombshell hit like the desert and they uncovered it, I was actually like kind of following it. I'm like, okay, like I can vibe with this, but from there, after after they loaded the what would you call it, the sarcophagus thing on the
Yep.
airplane,
Onto the cargo plane.
yeah, and the plane
Yeah.
crashed. The plane crashing was really where the movie went off a cliff. For me at least.
Well, went out the sky actually.
Yeah, I was trying to think of how to word that joke. You got it. um, Same wavelength. Yeah, no, the first, like I said, basically up until the plane crashing, I was actually kind of vibing with it. But then after that, yeah, it just it goes into I don't if you guys have seen Moon Knight. It's like Moon Knight but bad is like the best way I can put it. Um,
Yeah. And I like Moon Knight.
oh
And
yeah,
I think, yeah.
yeah, no, Moon Knight's good. That's why I prefaced it saying Moon Knight but bad because like it has some, and I'm not just saying that because they're two like Egyptian themed projects. But like both of them literally have like whether it's Tom Cruise or in Moon Knight, what's Oscar Isaac, they both have like
Yep.
voices in their head for different reasons, obviously. But it's like actually, now that I think about it, they are like kind of similar in that regard. It's just Moon Knight did it better. Um, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with it, but I'll get into that in the latter half of this episode. What were your initial thoughts on this one?
Well, for me, kind of to build off of what you were saying earlier, the opening was okay. It felt really like generic, and it kind of played into like a lot of tropes that were kind of leaning towards like the late 2010s, and we still kind of see it in the 2020s. Where, and this was a problem throughout the whole movie too, but I kind of felt it in the beginning, in particular, where they couldn't decide if it was supposed to be like a serious like archaeological discovery movie or if it was supposed to be like quippy, kind of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe style movie. But
Yeah.
another problem I had, yeah, and another problem I had with it too, and don't hate me on this, was actually some of the casting. I don't think Tom Cruise was a good fit for this particular role. That's no shade on Tom Cruise. It's just the direction they were going with this character. I don't think it really worked for him because
Uh,
Tom Cruise works better in the movies I personally like him in. I like him in a lot of the Top Gun movies. Those are like my favorite roles he's done. I
well,
think he works more as like the hot shot um like jack of all trades character that you wouldn't expect anything to come out of it initially, like when you first see him, but then it'll surprise you later on. And they wanted to shoot for more of like a sarcastic type of a humor, like an Indiana Jones style protagonist. And the problem with that is I only feel like there's very few actors that can do that right. You got Harrison Ford, you got Brendan Fraser who did the original Mummy movie,
I'd say
and
like
then
Bill
you got like
Murray.
Kurt Russell. Bill Murray, yep, that's another one.
Yeah.
But there's only a few, or like Tommy Lee Jones, but to like a while, like on the latter
Maybe even
half of
like
that
George
spectrum.
Clooney. Maybe I can see an argument for George Clooney.
Maybe,
Depends on the
especially with
movie.
this kind of a more, I don't want to say like quirky movie, but a more um fantastical film. I think I could see what you're saying. I just felt like that wasn't a great casting, but the worst offender in this, and I can't and this was surprising too, was Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It didn't seem like a believable performance, not just in what he was acting as, but the writing of the character just felt off too. And the idea of him, there's going to be spoilers in this, just to preface for everybody. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to
You're
get
not
an
missing out.
unfiltered view of it, you're not missing out, in our opinion. But if you want to go watch it, now's the chance. Um, where he's kind of the leader of this monster organization in like London, which is actually a cool concept in my opinion. But in the film, it was just executed poorly. And I think having him be the de facto leader of this monster hunting organization, kind of in like a Nick Fury role, was just not the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna disagree with you on Tom Cruise. I feel like Tom Cruise, I love him in like movies like Top Gun, which they actually just confirmed today at CinemaCon that Top Gun 3 is on the way. So I'm like beyond excited for that. But anyway, like I feel like he's most known now for like stuff like that, Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
movies like that. But I feel like people forget that he is also a very dramatic actor. Like, I mean, I just think of movies
Oh,
like Jerry
absolutely.
Maguire. And this new movie that's coming out by I think it's Warner Bros. The new Digger movie by the director of The Revenant. Apparently the trailer for that was shown behind closed doors the other day, and people like loved it. Or even Les Grossman, like we talked about. I mean, like
Yep.
not as like a
Like from last
serious
week,
role, yeah, but like
but still has some. He does have range.
right, and I guess that's like my argument. Like I feel like it's kind of like a George Clooney and Batman and Robin sort of thing where like the actor is good and I feel like he could be good in that movie. It's just the material he had to work with was left a lot to be desired, I guess. So like
Absolutely, I'll agree with you on that one actually, because what I mean is I think like the character they were writing wasn't the character they wrote, and unfortunately, Tom Cruise could only act the character they wrote.
Right. Well, and I don't know like how involved he was like beyond acting because I know like especially in like more recent movies he generally is like involved with producing. I don't know if that was the case on this film, but I mean either way, I know he's not the screenwriter, so
Yeah,
I can't really blame him on that. It's just it's one of those things where I think it's a good actor. He could be good in that type of story. It's just I don't know. The material wasn't great. And I'd say the same thing for Russell Crowe. I think he's also like
well,
kind of a
absolutely, he's
chameleon.
awesome.
Yeah, he's got like
Yeah,
more
he's a
serious
great
roles.
actor.
Yeah.
With my favorite being Gladiator, but like he could have worked as maybe even a different character, but it just didn't work with the material they were given. They're both Oscar nominated and Oscar winning. It's just the material is what held them back, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like Russell Crowe, he's got great range too. I mean, Gladiator, like you said, but if you want something more like a Tropic Thunder equivalent, he's got The Nice Guys with Ryan
Yep, with
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yep. So like, I feel like the talent was there. It's just it's
Yeah, and
it's the
even the
underlying like script, I guess, and direction that they went. And I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if this is like I don't want to like spoil your fun facts or I don't even know if this is a fun fact, but like I'm just going off the hunch that like I wouldn't be shocked that maybe there were like some reshoots involved, some rewrites, like I don't know. I mean, it's
yeah.
modern Hollywood, so I wouldn't be shocked if that's what happened. I don't know.
Well, to build off of that though, when they were making the movie, they were actively planning out their own dark universe, like a cinematic equivalent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just with old Universal horror movie monsters. Like even like they were gonna do like an Invisible Man movie with like Johnny Depp. They were gonna do a Bride of Frankenstein movie, and there's an infamous picture online of the Dark Universe cast where you can look it up, where it's Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp. I think Russell Crowe is in it from this movie. Um, and a few other actors were placed in as characters that they were supposed to play. Where even at the time, they weren't all even in the same location and they were like photoshopped together. So it just shows you that it was just kind of a hastily, placed idea that was more of like a cash grab and to try to ride the Marvel bandwagon at the time. And I think that's the problem with this movie is it wasn't like trying to be its own thing. It was already trying to set up future projects before the movie even gets going.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like maybe it was trying to be a bit too ambitious too. I think yeah, I think that's I think that's a good argument.
Yeah. Like there
That's
were fun
about
Easter eggs too.
yeah, yeah, did you want to get into that?
Yeah, well, these I didn't have these written down in like the fun facts, but just noticed a few of the Easter eggs because they were planning to do these as movies. There was like a vampire skull when they got to the monster hunting place, and that was like a nod to the Dracula movie they were working on. And they were working on a Gillman movie, which is like Creature of the Black Lagoon, because there was the creature's like right hand in like a vat, which ironically got turned into Shape of Water, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then the and then in one of the like the fight scenes of the film, a book falls out of the library that they were fighting in, and it's the Book of the Dead from the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. So they were already like they were fun Easter eggs, but they were also like more than that. They were like trying to set up other projects that they were going to do because they were going to try to make another appearance with Tom Cruise as the Mummy at the very end. You can clearly see that's what they were setting up. Um, and they were just kind of they were trying to run before they could walk, but they just tripped. They ended up tripping.
Yeah. No, that's I think it goes against Iron Man's what's it? His what's the word I'm looking for? Advice of running before you can
Yeah.
walk. Yeah, it I don't know. They because I understand trying to set up a wider thing like that, but it just didn't work. And
But
it's a cool concept. I
yeah,
think it could have been good.
yeah,
Um,
I think so too. But I think it's just a matter of time and rushing it out. Because even in like the early board, like even in the board meetings, they were still debating on if they wanted the monsters to be good or bad. Which, like, when you're trying to set up like a 5 to 7 picture deal, you kind of got to figure that out pretty quick.
right. No, um, yeah, yeah. I, it's that's modern Hollywood for you. What can I say? I have no other words than that. Um,
Yeah, my other complaint overall with the story in general is I wasn't really I wasn't really impressed with it. I liked I appreciate the direction they were trying to go with the alternate version, like a different choice for the mummy of this being like a more, I don't want to say like a tragic character like in the like 90s mummy movies, where it's like, this Egyptian princess who wants to try to dominate the world and rule over ancient Egypt. It's kind of like a more mustache twirling villain, but I think the problem is it didn't give her enough agency as the villain, where she wanted to like in the film she was trying to like kill Tom Cruise in like a sacrifice to try to bring about, like in this film, who's they said they wanted to bring the god of death out, who was set in this film. I got a bit of trivia on that later on, but it really didn't give her much agency other than feeling like it was just to set up another big bad later on down the line before we could really get to know this character very well.
right. I feel like you kind of have to focus on, especially for your first installment, you have to focus on the people like at hand. I feel like I mean, if we're comparing to Marvel, for example, and I know it's not exactly apples to apples, but like they didn't establish Thanos until the first Avengers movie, so you still had a couple movies prior. You had Iron Man 1 and
Yep.
2, you had Thor, you had Captain America, you had Hulk.
Out of all.
So yeah, like they in those first few movies, they were really just trying to world build. They weren't trying to
Yeah.
like set up sequels that they weren't sure would happen. Um, it just feels
Yeah.
like they were a little like too confident, I guess. Um,
Exactly. And I felt like that's a shame too, because the actress who played the mummy in the film did a good job with the material she was given. It's just the material wasn't that great. And I also wasn't a huge fan of the fact it was set in London for most of it.
yeah, yeah. That did feel. I feel like when you're doing a mummy movie, you kind of have to have it in, Egypt. But
Around Egypt, yeah.
yeah, somewhere in the desert. Like I don't know. It's
Or even if you wanted to make it like a modern city, try to go have it set in Cairo. Have it
right,
set in modern day Cairo.
right.
And I also like, and I wasn't a huge fan of the idea of them having like the Crusaders involved for some reason. I felt like that was a bit of a stretch, because they were the ones who like took the dagger later on down the line. I felt like it would have been a lot more contained if they just had it set in Egypt. And then you got to see the mummy resurrect some of the other like ancient like guards, again similar to like the '90s one and then the other previous films, and have it set in modern day Cairo as they're trying to escape. You could do that, and even if you wanted it in England, maybe have them excavate the tomb further and then bring a few more mummies back, and then those are the henchmen instead of just the generic zombie-esque mummies she kind of had for most of it.
I was gonna say because honestly, I like could not remember the design of those like, for lack of a better word, henchmen until you brought it up. That's how forgettable it was, and I think that's like one of my major qualms with the movie in general. It's just very forgettable, and the bits that I do remember are for the wrong reasons. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
like even the costume design wasn't that great. Like for most of it, it was like a classic like mummy wrapped in bandages thing. But I feel like with the modern day mummy, I feel like you need to have it be a little bit more ornate and a little bit more flashy. Like maybe have like a golden headpiece on, or like a necklace, or some like golden brace, just something to break up the visual look. Because in the film, like not only was the bandages she wore for most of it very pale, but like the mummy itself was like supposed to be like a corpse, so she looked kind of like pale in it too, and it kind of like didn't like stand out from like the dreary background that is London, England in the movie. So it really didn't have like a pop to it. It looked very monochromatic, and I feel like that's not something you want in like an elaborate monster movie. You want to have the creature stand out.
Right. The only yeah, because like I have not seen the new Mummy movie. I might go tomorrow. We'll see. But I mean, I don't know if I've even seen the trailer in its entirety. But I feel like I mean with that one they're obviously committing more to like actual horror
Yeah,
instead of like
I
action.
think it'll be the first rated R mummy movie within the past 3 or 4 movies. Correct me
Right.
if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's been a while since they've done it. Rated R.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I don't know. I feel like with that one, the color palette from what I've seen and just going off of memory, I feel like the color palette was darker and less like I don't know, like poppy, I guess, kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah,
But I feel like it lends itself more in again, I have not seen the movie yet. It's not even out yet, but it's very like I feel like a darker color palette like that works more for just a straight up horror movie, whereas for this, it's trying to be this like action adventure movie. And when you have something, I don't know if like mythological is the right word, but something like that, and you pluck it into just London, England, it just I don't know. I feel like setting it in the desert would have been better because it would have given you
better.
more of an excuse to use a richer color palette. But I don't know. Maybe that's
Yeah,
just me. But
and it also like it helps play into the aesthetic of like the monster too, because like that like my take on it is like especially like in the forest chase scene, it didn't really feel like a mummy movie during that. It just felt like a generic zombie movie that happened to have a mummy in it.
yeah,
And I get why they were trying new things. They didn't want to just play into all the classic tropes of the mummy movies before, but I feel like there's some things you have to have. Like you have to have it in like the classic um like environment for it, because that's what helps plays into the aesthetic of this specific monster. And that's what plays into it.
right. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like I don't know. I can't think of an analogy right now, but it's like taking Spider-Man out of New York, kind of. Um, it's like you kind of have to. I don't know. And I want to make it clear that like that's not my major qualm with this movie. It's very much like a there were multiple issues with it, but I feel like having it
Yes.
set in Egypt would have at least helped a little bit. You know what I mean? Um,
Because yeah, because even when they discovered the tomb, I think they said it was in like modern day Iraq, what like in the opening crawl. But like so in like of Egypt that we got to see in the movie, it was maybe in the movie for like 5 minutes,
right.
which I feel like wouldn't that doesn't really lend itself to a mummy movie, because like I said, it feels more like a zombie movie when you
Yeah,
have it set in an environment that it wouldn't typically you wouldn't typically expect it in.
it's like again, it kind of goes back to what we were almost saying earlier. It's like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Um, and it just
I feel like it's
I was just
sorry, go
gonna
on.
say it just kind of falls flat on its face because it's like it's like when you're trying to do too many things at once, like, you can only multitask so much. So inevitably, like you're gonna be subpar at all the things you're trying to do. Whereas if they just committed to one thing, I don't know, I think it would have been better.
Yeah, it would have been better. Cause yeah, cause like and to build off what you're saying too, I feel like it was trying to impress everyone, but it ended up impressing nobody
Yeah,
because
that's
of that exact reason. It was trying to appeal to mass audiences, and I appreciate the fact that it was trying to do something new, but I feel like the new thing they were trying out wasn't working for this.
yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. It's yeah, I mean, it's just ah, my God, it's a movie
It
of
was
all
it
time.
was a choice. And
Yeah,
the writing and there were some plot holes in here too that I was just astounded at. Like the one that gets me is so when they first discover the tomb and you see the little like pulley system they have rigged up to keep the coffin inside like the mercury vat, and Tom Cruise just takes out a gun and shoots like this like ornate like golden or silver rope, and that when he shoots he breaks the system, it pulls it out because it was like weighted in there.
right.
But like if you're the whole intent was to make sure no one took the sarcophagus out, why did you put the weight on the other side instead of just putting it over it and then having the sarcophagus stuck in the mercury vat without a way to take it out? Like why build a way to take it out is what I'm saying.
I think at that point in the movie, I'd shut my brain off so much that like it didn't even register to me. I'd turned off my analytical side of my brain. I was just like kind of existing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I
I
get you.
honestly didn't even catch that. But hearing
And
you
then
say that,
like
it's like, oh my God, like what are we doing?
yeah, and then like even on the way, like just up to like where they load the sarcophagus in the cargo plane, you see Jake Johnson's character, who's like the side character, like the comedic side character Tom Cruise has, who's kind of got like an American Werewolf in London situation going on. But he's got like this giant, he had like this giant rash from like his neck to almost like his arm, like in this Humvee and on the plane, and it baffled me that no one commented on it. And there's even one bit where like Tom Cruise looks directly at him, and there's
Right,
like no way he would have missed that. Like they had a medic there. You think they would have checked that out?
right,
Or in like the when they did go to meet Dr. Jekyll for the first time, you see him in like the span of like 20-30 minutes inject himself with the serum like twice. So like at that point, like how often is he doing that? Like how often is he like putting the cure in? Like does he have to do it like consistently 20-30 minutes? Or
right.
like is it like a half dose thing? Like I didn't understand the logistics of that. Cause you see him later pop around like towards the end of the movie and he's fine. So like did he do it beforehand or like it was just an odd choice for that. And then the odd choice of having him, I guess, like we mentioned before, as the leader of this monster hunting organization, when he, typically speaking, doesn't hunt monsters in any of his adaptations, is an interesting take.
Yeah, yeah. There's just yeah, there's a lot to dissect from this
Yeah,
movie in all of the wrong ways. I don't know if you wanted to get into the fun fact section or
yeah, I'm absolutely ready.
okay,
But
cool.
before that, I have the budget and the box office worldwide.
Okay,
So the
cool.
budget of the film, yeah, the budget was around 125 million, but it's probably closer to 345 with all the marketing costs for the movie.
Hmm.
And the gross worldwide box office was 409 million. Um, but in the US and Canada, it only made 80 million.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that tanked the Dark Universe pretty quick. But yeah, I'm ready whenever for the trivia section.
Yeah, yeah. As always, Mike gathered all of our trivia information. I have a feeling that there's going to be some interesting stuff given this movie's nature. So yeah, kick it off whenever you're ready.
Yeah, the first bit of trivia I actually found, I thought this was interesting and I didn't even think about it, was that the mummies general design was actually changed to avoid similarities in the X-Men Apocalypse movie that came out like a year beforehand,
Hmm.
which had the X-Men villain Apocalypse as the main villain, who also is from ancient Egypt.
Okay.
And and then the original plot of the film leaked as well, where the whole plot would be about Navy SEALs in Iraq fighting a group of mummies after they accidentally unearthed a tomb. Like I felt like that could have been like an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
It's like I said. If they had, I don't know. There are multiple different directions they could have taken this where it would have been better, even with the same cast and crew. Um, it just comes down to a flawed script. That's it.
yeah.
Did you have any
And
other
to
facts?
circle, yeah, I got a few more. And
Okay.
then to circle back to our original Tom Cruise discussion, uh, Tom Cruise was actually offered the lead in the 1999 Mummy movie,
Oh, really?
but I think yeah, but then it went to Brendan Fraser instead, and I think that was for the best because he was fantastic in that movie. And he's
Uh,
actually, I think him and Rachel Weisz are coming back for the Mummy 4 now, so looking forward to that. Um,
yeah.
but another fun, yeah,
I was just gonna say I'm glad that even with like a reboot, I don't even know if you'd call it a reboot, just a different interpretation, like this new one, the Lee Cronin one. I'm glad that again, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't comment, but I'm glad that they're at least like it's kind of like Batman. They're okay with having like two different versions going at the same time. So like Brendan Fraser and this Blumhouse one. I think that's not a bad idea. I just hope that this Mummy 4 is like I hope the story like justifies making the movie. Like I guess what I'm saying is I hope it's not just like some sort of like fan service legacy sequel. Um
yeah.
I guess we'll see. Anyway, that's way off topic, but yeah.
Another fun fact I found out too, and this goes back into the plot hole thing too, was in the movie, uh, they were actually trying to summon the god Set, who in the film they said was the god of death, but in real life it was actually the god Anubis, who is the god of death in ancient Egyptian mythology. So I thought that was kind of funny that they even got that wrong, that they grabbed the wrong ancient Egyptian god.
My god.
Um, and then the actual tagline for the film, which was "A New World of Gods and Monsters," is a quote from The Bride of Frankenstein from the 30s, which would have been the next film in the Dark Universe right after this, but because of the box office sales, that was scrapped.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, like they were even teasing the next, like they were even teasing the sequel in the tagline of the movie.
Yeah, and I guess I don't think we got another Bride of Frankenstein movie until just recently with Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. I don't
Yeah,
think anything else came out before that, like between this movie and The Bride.
I don't believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, wow, that really delayed everything by what, 9 years?
quite some
Jeez.
time. Yeah, by
Yeah,
quite some time.
good lord. Is that all for trivia, or did you have anything else?
That's all I have, and I'm ready to give my official rating.
Yeah, I'll go first just because again, I don't think I have much to say that I haven't already said. Long story short, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, and even now I'm starting to think maybe that was a bit too generous. Um, again, it's just the movie couldn't decide what it wanted to be. And unfortunately, as much as I love Tom Cruise, like one of my favorite actors of all time, it just wasn't enough to save this. Where everything went wrong, like along the production pipeline, who knows? But yeah, it's just watch literally any other Mummy movie. That's my 2 cents. What's
Watch the
your
Boris Karloff one.
yeah?
Y- yeah, for me, I gave this one a 2 stars. Just to build off, it's the same reasons as you just said, where it's a film that was trying to appease everyone, but it appeased no one at the same time. and it really did fit in with any specific tone, and that kind of killed it for me, and along with just some of the writing. And I felt it felt like a very generic movie that kind of really didn't play into any of the stuff that really makes any action or horror movie popular in a way that was interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I wish I had more to say about it, but it's just genuinely, like I said, my mind kind of turned off about halfway through because I was just like, oh, okay, this is happening. I'm just gonna go with it. I was trying not to be too like analytical about it. So I'm glad that you at least managed to like lock in for the whole thing because I sure wasn't. Um, but yeah, no, I just genuinely don't have a lot to say. So, um,
Uh,
with that in
Would you
mind,
like
I
to give this
think. Oh
like
no,
a
go on.
2 or a 2.5? I was just saying, like, for the official review, would you
Let's
like
just
to give
go
it like
with
a
a
2
two.
or a 2?
Yeah, a two.
All right.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah, a two. Uh,
Yep.
so The Mummy, 2017, Tom Cruise official screening room podcast review of a 2 out of 5. um, yeah, not much more to say that hasn't already been said. You can, without any guilt, skip this one if you haven't already seen it. Yeah, that's about all I got to say.
There's not much else to say.
Um, yeah. So with that in mind, I will leave a little teaser here for our next episode. Hopefully, it's I don't know, a more watchable movie for our sake. But yeah, here's the teaser.
Yeah, but according to your precious instructions, this ship needs a hyperdrive. We don't have that part.
Maybe we could find one.
What do you think? A spaceship is just gonna appear out of the blue?
Are you kidding me? The same bit.
And that about sums it up. I'll let you conclude this one.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Always remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.